I'm Bill Weir in Greenland, and this is CNN.
Connecting Africa in association with Afreximbank.
Africa. It's one of the most diverse continents on the planet, with its vast array of countries, different cultures and economies. All are at various stages of economic development, and with the new continent-wide free trade zone, it's ripe for innovation and disruption. This month, how advances in technology is driving intra-African trade. From financial technology
the fintech space in Nigeria and across Africa is really growing very well.
to blockchain,
The aim here is to boost trade between African countries.
to greater access in healthcare.
I think the future of telemedicine in Africa is extremely bright.
Welcome to Connecting Africa, the show that highlights the leaders and trailblazers connecting the continent through business. I'm Eleni Jakos. Financial inclusion, having access to services like bank accounts, credit, savings, loans, and insurance, is still a major barrier to economic growth and reducing poverty across Africa. 57% of Sub-Sahara's adult population don't have a bank account, and there are just 4.5 bank branches per 100,000 people, and that's compared to 29.7 per 100,000 in the United States. But innovative technology is driving change, with 80% mobile and 36% internet penetration, and with the world's fastest growing population, financial technology, or fintech, is starting to make big inroads, and Nigeria has emerged as a major hub for the industry. It's a familiar sight on the streets of Nigeria. Designated money agents with their point-of-sale systems, facilitating millions who don't have bank accounts to deposit and withdraw cash, and carry out a whole array of other financial transactions.
5,000.
OPay is Nigeria's foremost financial inclusion service provider. Everywhere in Nigeria today, even in the remotest part of Nigeria, we have a large agency banking business with more than 500,000 agents across Nigeria.
One of its other technologies, mobile money, allows the transfer of cash between mobile devices through a digital wallet.
We're also the last mile in terms of access to financial services for more than 10 million Nigerians, many of which do not have any form of bank account through the OPay digital wallet.
With a large rural population and poor infrastructure, traditional banks have been struggling to reach the unbanked. But Africa has the second fastest growing banking and payments market globally, and firms like OPay are starting to fill the void.
We go to where banks cannot go to. We are much more nimble. We are more tech-oriented. Therefore, we can deploy in a more agile way and get to reach far many more areas.
OPay is among Africa's 7 unicorns, firms valued at $1 billion or more. With 5 of these unicorns based in Nigeria, the technology sector is now a massive part of the country's economy.
We used to say that oil is perhaps the most impactful sector in terms of Nigerian economy. But a big narrative about Nigeria today that we don't talk about, that we need to echo more, is that the tech sector today is bigger than oil, double the size of the oil sector. For example, in the GDP metrics of Q4 of 2021, tech sector, for example, was 15% contribution to GDP in Nigeria. Oil was just 7%. That's a powerful story.
With its population of over 200 million, the potential for further growth is huge. Across Nigeria, 55% of the adult population remains unbanked, 81% have mobile phones, and just over half, 51%, have access to the internet.
Imagine what will happen when we get financial inclusion in Nigeria to 80% through services like that players like OP will provide. And we get working with the larger ecosystem, broadband penetration to like 80%. The size of tech potentially in Nigeria will be 5, 6, 7 times the size of oil.
It's not only Nigeria that will benefit. Greater financial, mobile and internet access across the continent is set to increase business opportunities, especially now that the African Continental Free Trade Area, or the AfCFTA, is in place.
One of the key things we must do, learning from where we are coming from, is how to ensure that no one is left behind, that the small merchant, the micro merchant is not left behind, that AfCFTA does not just serve the large corporations or the large traders in Africa. And to achieve that, it means last mile players like OP are going to be very critical. When we do that, we can only end up with an Africa that is more prosperous.
Another fintech firm eyeing expansion across the continent because of the AfCFTA is digital bank Paga. Founded in 2009, it currently has 19 million customers, but it too sees barriers to more Africans getting access to financial services.
The Paga Group, we're very focused on making it simple for 1 billion people to access and use money. That's our target. The way we reach the unbanked population, I don't even think it's about the cost of smartphones. It's about bringing the cost of data down. To give you an example, 1 gig of data in India costs 7 US cents. The same gig of data in Nigeria, the best rate I have seen so far is about 70 cents, right? So it's still very expensive for just 1 gig of data. If we crash that down, you will see people buy phones over time with loans and things like that, buy now, pay later, and you will really spur the economy.
For now, the African fintech and banking market remains highly fragmented, with many players operating in just one country. That is set to change with the Free Trade Zone's Pan-African payment system called PAPS, a cross-border system that should make intra-African trade easier.
I expect it to have a big impact on our business, especially once we're in multiple countries. And because now someone who's living in Kenya should be able to transact with a merchant in Nigeria and pay in shillings and have that merchant receive their money in Naira instantly, and the back-end settlement work. So that is what the vision is and where we're trying to get to as a continent, and I think that's going to be positive overall for us.
We stay with fintech when we come back as I meet Maktar Job from the International Finance Corporation, a big investor in the sector across Africa.
For too long, we have waited for hours to convert currencies, days to clear checks, and decades to reach our potential. But now, we can access the power of African free trade in an instant with PAPS, the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. Overcome barriers, reduce risks, trade in local currencies, and connect with a single market united across Africa. Be a part of Africa's flourishing free trade today.
We think of the metaverse as the next iteration of social media. And although there's only a few 100,000 people using it today, we anticipate that over the next few years, there's going to be millions of people joining these platforms and eventually billions of people using these platforms. This is not a fad. I mean, we can look at companies like Facebook doing the largest rebrand in history to Meta. We can look at companies like Samsung. Even the fashion brands like Gucci, Balenciaga, Adidas, and Nike are all establishing a presence there. And so what I would say to people that are still skeptical, say this is, maybe are the same type of people that were skeptical about social media and its impact on advertising, and maybe even people who are skeptical about the internet. My prediction is that within 24 months, every single large corporation is going to have to need a presence in the metaverse in the same way that they need a website.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
Connecting Africa in association with Afrexim Bank.
Welcome back. A big backer of the fintech industry in Africa is the International Finance Corporation, or IFC, a member of the World Bank Group. It was involved in the launch of the continent's first mobile money transfer service, M-Pesa, in 2007. I sat down recently with Maktar Diop, IFC Managing Director, to talk about the fintech industry in a post-COVID world. The pandemic has seen an incredible acceleration in the fintech space. And I guess when you look at the African example, you know, in many ways, so many African economies have been at the forefront of pioneering solutions to bank the unbanked through fintech. Give me a sense of where we are right now.
This is just fantastic what's happening in Africa. A decade ago, when we were talking about fintech, about M-Pesa, the IFC invested in Safaricom, and people were saying, what are you doing?
That was a good call, yeah?
That was a good call, huh? And people were saying, what is these things called a fintech? So fintech is doing great. In Nigeria, we have now 3 big unicorns in fintech. So the business is moving well. But most importantly, it has an impact on people's life and people's development. We have, as you know, financial inclusion, which is very low in Africa.
You had foresight when it came to M-Pesa, and in fact, there's been something that's been said that we haven't really seen anything riveting in terms of true disruptive technology since M-Pesa. Yeah. So what's the next M-Pesa?
Interesting things. The number of women in startups is much larger than people would have expected. And you see great ideas of young entrepreneurs. And it's interesting, you see a mix. People who were in Europe or in the US coming back home and developing their business. People who never left Africa who are developing their business. And we are pairing also with MIT Lab, and we're trying to do some innovation for development and try to see some of these innovation moving forward. So I think that it will help developing inter-Africa trade. But we need to make sure that everything which has been signed and said in the Africa Free Trade Agreement becomes a reality.
It's the financing institutions and it's the businesses that are going to ensure that the Continental Free Trade Area is actually, you know, becomes reality. Are you excited about what you're seeing right now since it went live?
I see a lot of political will to do that. But I think would be the next step is to make sure that the private sector and businessmen are at the center of the Africa Free Trade Agreement. Encouraging to have at the continent-wide a dialogue between the private sector and the public sector so they can really exchange ideas on what are the challenges they're facing. We need also to make sure that we have enough trade finance. That's something that IFC is pushing very much. We have a new initiative where we will be bringing $1 billion for SMEs and $1 billion to support free trade finance. But also use technology. I know that you are a big fan of blockchain, and it's something that would be very useful when you want to secure trade among African countries and take advantage of this free trade zone.
Do you think blockchain is going to be an interesting solution?
Blockchain, I think, is fantastic. And when you start to, actually we start having transaction blockchain on trade that our team at IFC is working on, and we are working with banks because it allows you really to secure transaction.
And when we come back, we will look at how blockchain is being used to speed up intra-African trade in the logistics sector.
For too long, we have waited for hours to convert currencies, days to clear checks, and decades to reach our potential. But now, we can access the power of African free trade in an instant with PAPS, the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. Overcome barriers, reduce risks, trade in local currencies, and connect with a single market united across Africa. Be a part of Africa's flourishing free trade today.
Chatterley, host of CNN's First Move. I'll speak to newsmakers, risk takers, and the ultimate game changers. Make CNN your first move.
First Move with Julia Chatterley, weekdays.
Connecting Africa in association with Afreximbank.
Welcome back to Connecting Africa, where this month we look at how technology is disrupting traditional businesses and its potential to boost intra-African trade. Next, we turn to blockchain technology. Morocco's OCP Group, one of Africa's largest fertilizer producers, has become the first company on the continent to use blockchain in intra-African trade. And it's bringing a lot of benefits.
It's a vast site. Here you will find 70% of the world's phosphorus reserves, an essential ingredient in fertilizers.
OCP Group is a leading producer of phosphates and fertilizer, employing 21,000 people and serving 160 customers across the globe. It's an African company headquartered in Casablanca, Morocco.
One of its challenges is shipping its fertilizer across Africa and around the world. It can be a long and laborious process with thousands of financial documents and paperwork needing to be shared, reviewed and approved by many entities. Shipping fertilizer from Morocco to Ethiopia, for instance, can take up to 3 weeks, a process exacerbated because of the pandemic.
Because of COVID, the international courier service has been severely disrupted, leading to longer document transmission time to the financing bank. And this means longer financing delays and higher treasury opportunity costs for OCP.
With the need to speed up the delivery process and boost trade between African countries, it turned to blockchain technology.
Simply put, blockchain can be described as an electronic ledger which is distributed across a network of computers. In trade, the blockchain technology grew in popularity due to its capacity to track each step of the transaction in real time, and at the same time provide a single source of truth across multiple parties. Blockchains are very, very secure because they use encryption to protect the underlying data.
Here's how it works. OCP is shipping fertilizer from Morocco to Ethiopia. Traditionally, the paperwork could involve 1,000 documents. It also took a lot of time, usually over 3 weeks, as it moved from OCP through the banking system, shipping companies, and finally to the client, the Ethiopian Agricultural Business Corporation. With blockchain, it can be done within a few hours. Using a tamper-proof system, the documents are uploaded to a private blockchain, a digital ledger where everyone involved can upload, view, edit, approve, and validate the documents simultaneously and in real time. A process that took 3 weeks is now done in under 2 hours.
We have risk mitigation by eliminating potential errors and ambiguities in the exchange and the amendment of documents. You have also improved liquidity and working capital finance. It's lower transaction costs. It is very convenient, very fast, and with high service levels.
OCP says the technology will boost intra-African trade, but only if certain aspects of the new Continental Free Trade Agreement are addressed.
ACFTA is a good opportunity to move the economic integration of the African continent forward. Blockchain technology might have a good impact, a positive impact on intra-African trade, only if some specific challenges of the intra-African trade are addressed, such as tariff barriers, transport infrastructure, international trade rules, and commercial practices.
Despite these challenges, OCP is pushing ahead with using blockchain to ship to other clients.
We have actually in the radar Nigeria, which would like to include its trade in the blockchain platform, and also India as well for our export trades in India. So this is what we would like to attain as an objective.
A fascinating use of blockchain technology there. And when we come back, how telemedicine could boost intra-African trade.
For too long, we have waited for hours to convert currencies, days to clear checks, and decades to reach our potential. But now, we can access the power of African free trade in an instant with PAPS, the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. Overcome barriers, reduce risks, trade in local currencies, and connect with a single market united across Africa. Be a part of Africa's flourishing free trade today.
Advancement, adaptation, new Marketplace Middle East.
From digital banking to biometric payments, we take a look at innovation and technology in the future of finance.
Marketplace Middle East, Saturday on CNN.
Have you heard it like this?
Let's untangle the players and political forces.
Fast-paced news from the perspective of The Global Brief with Bianca Nobilo. Weeknights on CNN.
Connecting Africa in association with Afrexim Bank.
Welcome back. Unlike the banking and logistics sectors, very few healthcare companies have expanded across the continent. Now that is set to change thanks to technological innovation and Africa's new free trade agreement. And one technology disruptor that's set to benefit is telemedicine.
I'm Dr. Davis Musinguzi. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Rocket Health. Rocket Health is a telemedicine and last-mile healthcare delivery company. And what that basically means is that anybody, anywhere can use their basic mobile phone or smartphone to be able to access a doctor and get a doctor consultation.
Hello, good morning. Yes, I'm Dr. Tkunda. This is Rocket Health. May I know who I'm speaking to?
Frustrated by the lack of access Ugandans had to healthcare, Dr. Davis Musinguzi founded Rocket Health with other medical professionals back in 2012.
Healthcare in Uganda has gone through several different challenges. Among these include the doctor-patient ratio 1 to 25,000. Most of the doctors are located within urban areas, denying a lot of people across the country the services that they need. But then also you have challenges within healthcare financing. A lot of people, up to 50% of the country, still has to pay for healthcare out of pocket with no insurance cover or protection of any kind. And even then, within these healthcare facilities, you still have shortages of essential supplies.
A decade later, Rocket Health says it has 70,000 customers and that advances in technology has been key to its success.
Rocket Health has made it possible for you to use a basic phone, a smartphone, as long as you have access to network. Then our teams will get back to you and really try to complete that consultation, meaning that they'll ask you for your symptoms, they'll take your history. If you have enough information to diagnose it over the phone, fantastic. If we need more information like confirmatory lab tests, we'll have a lab technician come to your home, your school, your workplace, pick your sample. It could be urine, blood, or stool. We'll bring that into our lab. We own and run our own labs. We'll have those tests done, and the doctor will get back to you and explain these results to you. Welcome to the pharmacy. So over here you'll have the different items that will get delivered to the patients.
Demand for telemedicine is surging. Salient Advisory, a global consultancy firm, has been monitoring the explosion in the sector since the start of the pandemic.
We track about over 1,200 startups across the continent. So 60% of the innovators that we see in this space were formed in the last 5 years. So that's a lot of innovation that is taking place. And the COVID-19 is accelerating that. Telemedicine, for instance, is the fastest growing offering, especially when it's paired with digitally enabled distribution. And we see that 33% of the telemedicine players were founded during the pandemic period.
Telemedicine, in terms of having virtual consultations, is a game changer because telemedicine allows you to get over the physical, the poor infrastructure physically, allows you to bring people together from various parts of the country virtually, allows you to even to bring expertise from other countries. So telemedicine, I think, is the real game changer, and COVID has allowed us to realize that you don't have to be in physical contact with your patient.
But the industry remains highly fragmented, as very few healthcare companies are expanding across the continent. And there is no pan-African regulation of things like medicines. That could change with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
Making Africa a free trade area is going to make it much easier for us to get essential medicines and supplies to where they're needed the most in African countries, especially those that are landlocked, that may not necessarily have functional healthcare systems. I think is going to be critical to how we can fix some age-old healthcare problems.
Partnerships and collaboration are increasing intra-African trade, and the African Free Continental Trade Agreement is something that is helping to drive that. When it becomes fully operational, and I think enough countries have signed to make it, it will be possible to submit common technical documents and make those drugs available across without multiple registration.
Across Africa, if we were able to adopt the free trade agreements, it would be, it would be incredible. We have so many regulations regarding pharmaceuticals, to take an example. Things like patient confidentiality. The more the regulations match, then the better.
By 2030, the African healthcare sector is expected to be the second biggest market after the United States and is estimated to be worth around $259 billion, according to a report by the Virginia Economic Development Partnership.
I think the future of telemedicine in Africa is extremely bright. I think it's probably the most cost-effective way that we can scale access, quality, and affordability of healthcare to the many. Now they have an opportunity to take telemedicine on their mobile phone as a mainstream way that they use as a fast point of contact to a medical healthcare professional.
Well, the future is indeed looking bright for the tech sector across Africa. And that's it for this month's Connecting Africa. If you want to know more about the subjects we cover on this program, check out our websites. Until next month, let's keep on connecting.
Connecting Africa in association with Afreximbank.
We've missed the globetrotting and adventures, and we're longing to get out and go.
This is living.
Uncovering a city's DNA.
Look at that.
Meeting people who will share its secrets.
It's going to be very cold.
And making discoveries that wow.
We're not doing that again.
It's a world of wonder.
Gorgeous.
Now, go and see it. Saturday on CNN, in association with Turkish Airlines.
Our mission here at CNN and of journalists, the news comes first. That's when your heart beats a little bit faster.
More breaking news that we are following right now.
You really work as hard as you can, getting the facts.
We're learning more about an alleged plot.
It is critically important.
To our viewers in the United States and around the world, welcome to the Situation Room. We have breaking news.
June 20th, a CNN concert event. Let's celebrate, educate, and lift every voice. Juneteenth, a global celebration for freedom. Live from the Hollywood Bowl, only on CNN.
We're here now at the home of one of the FSB team, and my name's Clarissa Ward. I work for CNN. Was it your team that poisoned Navalny?
It's just been a chaotic scene here. People are so exhausted. Just gonna help her carry this bag. We were just in the hospital. It was shocking. Why do you think India has been hit so badly? Scores of Taliban fighters, and just behind us, the U.S. Embassy.
Why does a small group of women asking for their right to be educated threaten you so much?
Raise your hand if you love school. I'm the one who has to look them in the eye. Can I have your word? These people are depending on you. You can hear gunshots every couple minutes. Now they're pressing in. They want desperately to tell their story.
I'm Will Ripley in Taipei, Taiwan, and this is CNN.
African Voices Changemakers, in association with Glow Unlimited.
Welcome to African Voices. I'm Mari Toko. Photography has the ability to increase representation. In South Africa, a renowned photographer is giving the Black LGBTQ community a place to be seen.
Nina, move on with the flow. I'll just give it direction every now and then. My first camera, I had to go to a pawn shop and I bought a Pentax P30T for $600. It was an analog camera. And I will photograph, go to the darkroom, process. Those were my early images. I'm a visual activist because it is my duty and responsibility to change the narrative. Just call me Sir Zanele Moholi. I am a visual activist. It is my responsibility to bring change in my surroundings.
Zanele Moholi is a prolific South African artist and self-described visual activist, using photography as their main medium since the early 2000s.
I grew up under heavy apartheid, so I understand how that informs my current visual documentation. So my mom was a domestic worker. My father has since died and my mom had to raise 8 children on her own. So my childhood was just a household with no father. And then my mom at work.
This inspired their series of photographs titled Masa and Mina, which portrayed Zanele as a domestic worker.
And I have images of myself as a domestic, and I share some of the images as part of this narrative. Even visiting like my clients' homes with domestic workers, somehow it triggers because I see my mom in them.
Zanele struggled with their identity for years. Because of the lack of representation in media, Zanele says they didn't know who or what they were.
How do you come out without any magazines that looks or tells the story of you becoming is not what is expected? My journey has not been easy. It's still not easy, but I make it possible because I believe that what I do needs to be done.
In 2001, Zanele decided to pursue photography as a profession and attended the Market Photo Workshop. There, they met founder David Goldblatt, a South African apartheid photographer who would become their mentor.
David Goldblatt will forever be in my heart for giving me and many other Black youth a chance to become like better photographers. So he'll always or forever be dear to me. But most of other memories of my early work with visual activism is like the politics of existence and who represented us and how we represented. And then there was a period of like HIV and AIDS when we lost many of our own, really made me want to do something. I had to be active and take action. If I do speak about us, it has to be something tangible. People need to see, feel it. When they consume it, they need to do that consciously. So I had to do something about it. Ernest, the one that you have, you could put with this one.
Zanele decided to make it their responsibility to bring awareness to the LGBTQIA+ community.
Between like that period, like 1999, 2000, 2001, I'll go to the township doing community outreach work, where I reported on the lives of Black lesbians in different townships. I did not have much reference point when it comes to Black lesbian photographies from here. We're mostly reliant on international books, magazines.
In 2006, Zanele started a new series called Faces and Phases, which celebrates the Black gay community.
Faces and Phases is a lifetime project. As you see here, you have 16 years of work. What is important is the content, the people in it, and what they have to say, their lives. She also passed. So this is Faces and Phases, and there's a lovely human being who's in the series, and his name is TK Khumalo. He is an activist, and this image was taken 10 years ago, and this is how 10 years later he looks like. So from here to here. So this is TK before he fully realized himself. So this period of living and loving the same gender, of living and loving and realizing themselves, living and loving and transforming and transitioning is very, very key, because it's a documentation that is hardly captured by us. I felt that it was my responsibility and those that I'm connected to document our realities.
Next, Zanele lets us in on a special sequel.
₦20,000 for free. 20,000 naira bonus.
Is your line blocked? Then move to Glow.
I'm reconnected.
Because we've all reconnected. And it's simple. Dial *109# and link your NIN to your new or existing Glow number.
Get up to 20,000 naira for free with Glow.
20,000 naira bonus free.
Yes, so free.
Naija, what are you waiting for?
I think it is the opportunity of government, and it's the opportunity of the private sector, and it's the opportunity of our American communities to welcome refugees. You know, the fall of the Afghan government, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, you know, these have triggered massive displacement events at a scale and speed not seen in decades. I think what we've discovered at Welcome.us is, while there are significant capacity constraints to overcome, they can best be overcome when we tap into the extraordinary capacity of our American communities, our civic organizations, and our private sector. Refugees often arrive with a wide variety of professional and educational backgrounds. And what we know from the refugee experience is that they're extraordinarily successful. Attracting newcomers and welcoming them robustly is a win-win for everybody.
On the next Living Golf, discover the history of the sport in Sweden. How do they keep producing some of the world's best golfers? Hear from rising stars.
I think it's just more fun when a Swede wins.
Then visit the region's flagship event, the Scandinavian Mixed, and sit down with Europe's next Ryder Cup captain, Henrik Stenson.
This is where it all started for me.
Living Golf, Saturday on CNN, in association with Gulf Saudi.
Zanele Muholi is an acclaimed South African photographer who has exhibited all over the world. Their body of work explores race, politics, and identity.
It's impossible for me to work according to any plan because I have to feel. If I don't feel, it means that there's no documentation, because it means that it's forced. It's not like natural. So being spontaneous then is key. And I share with people that I work with emotions. I connect with the visual. I don't just take photographs. It's spiritual, it's a calling. I have to feel before I capture anything.
Today, Zanele is shooting a recently married couple.
So I'm here doing what I do the best, what I do the most, which is a fusion of like visual, art, and activism. And my practice is on visual activism to produce documents or visual documents that speaks to the queer archive, or materials that are political, that connect people, that create a dialogue. So today we're just like capturing a love story of the two women in love. South Africa legalized same-sex marriages in 2006 December, but we haven't had much visuals that speaks to that love, archival materials that speaks to the moment.
Zanele has a gallery space in Cape Town, which they share with students to give them a place where their creativity can grow.
We are at Muholi Art Institute. This is the office for everyone to occupy. artistically or creatively. I have this big office, and it's not my office, it's for all of us, especially creative. So I'm creating a space or a platform in which people could create without worrying about lack of resources, worrying about space to produce work, worrying about what to do with their creative minds. So some of the students who goes to School of Photography, they come here after classes and they do what they gotta do.
Archive, the word archive.
So I work with OMS and most of the students that goes there.
One of those students is Masange Tembani, a young woman from KwaZulu-Natal who was chosen to study under Professor Muholi.
I was so excited to hear about this opportunity because I thought that I needed to do something physically, something that I will be able to express myself in. I was chosen not because I was good or smart or I did much better things than other people, but I would say that Prof saw something in me.
Zanele released a book of self-portraits in 2018, Somnyama Ngonyama, which translates as Hail the Dark Lioness. The portraits pay homage to the history of Black women and identity. Since its release, Zanele has been working on a sequel.
And I'm preparing for my next book here, the next Somnyama Ngonyama book. It's work over the past few years. These are my co-editors. So we're editing the book. Then we go to the lab. We process properly the final. Let's say, with a pool of 100 images, only 92 will make sense or will be in the book. It doesn't matter how many I produce. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense.
Zanele is set to release an exclusive line of home accessories, which link back to the original Somnyama Ngonyama.
You are at Somnyama Ngonyama's showroom, which will be strictly available or only at the museum shops or will be accessible to my collectors. These designs are original photographs from my book Somnyama Ngonyama, which was launched in 2018. I have worked with people before, but nobody has seen me like this way. So it goes back to the whole, saying that sometimes we need to produce work that lives beyond us.
Zanele has a long list of awards and accolades, including receiving a French knighthood. They never accept awards fully for themselves, and rather accept it on behalf of their community.
So, to be knighted, it means that the queer community is knighted alongside me. So any award, any prize is not for me. It's about a community that still needs to be serviced, to be resourced. I'm shaped by the village, I'm shaped by the queer community, and I forever bow to every human being that has given birth to something. I grew up poor, but now I'm richer. The information that I produce makes me feel rich and somehow content, because I like what I do. I love my work so much.
Brekete times 10. Get a Glow SIM today and enjoy 1,000 Naira sign-on bonus for voice and data. All new and existing Glow subscribers also get 10 times the value of their every recharge, plus up to double their data recharge as bonus. All Glow subscribers also get up to free 20,000 Naira bonus for voice and data.
Coronavirus. To get daily news updates in your inbox, sign up for the CNN newsletter. Coronavirus. Fact versus fiction.
Photographs can be a vehicle for change. In Mozambique, we meet a man who's using his camera to address human and environmental problems in his country.
What can I do every day when I wake up? What can I do to change the world? I know that I'm a single person and I'm a small person comparing to how the world is huge. But even that, I won't stop to think like that.
There's one quote that says, if you don't share, you and the risk of losing everything. If we do things right, even if our life is limited, it is unlimited because we build a memory. I use photography as a tool to change people's mind. My name is Mario Maslao, and I'm a visual artist from Mozambique, and I'm a change maker. So on my free time, mostly on the weekend, if I have a time, I used to take my motorcycle. I'm a motorcycle rider. When I'm doing that, it's a way of getting inspired also. So I see different stories of people, I get inspired, you know, and then it's where I start maybe to think about doing a project, taking portraits.
For photographer Mario Masilao, his images speak a universal language.
My work is more to show this real perspective in Mozambique, for people to know the culture, the Mozambican culture.
And his method, slightly unconventional.
So, quero aproveitar tipo para ir desse.
No tem nada.
Camera scares people, you know. When you go to people's house with a camera, they're watching you coming from far away, and they're already telling people what you're going to do with them, you know. So I don't like to do that because it creates a barrier between people. It broke the conversation already. And when I arrive there, I greet them, I spend time with them, I explain them who I am, and then after that, if I'm interested in shooting them or doing a story about them, then I tell them, okay, I will be back, I'm going to take my camera. Trying to bring here something different, but that is more related to the space. Look at this guy. You know, he don't know me, and now he doesn't even want to live here. You know, he just wants to stay and still talking and stuff like that.
Mario's foray into photography began at age 14, when he swapped a mobile phone given to him by his mother for a camera, and he's been capturing images ever since. But success in the traditional sense was elusive.
Sometimes you can work very hard for many years and nothing happens in your life. And sometimes you're thinking about giving up. So at the moment I was thinking about giving up, it's when I start to have my work recognized.
That turning point came 12 years later in 2011, in the form of a prestigious solo exhibition a continent away in Lisbon, Portugal. Today, we're headed to one of the beaches where he's taken some of his most well-known photographs.
We are at the beach, we are in the place where people with faith comes. Different group belong to different religion. They used to come here for the ceremony. And then the rituals to pray, to worship God. So you see in this group there, what normally I do, this is the type of song that I like to invite them to go to the studio. I record this sound. Today I ask myself, where are all these songs and this upcoming new generation? I will not say that it is a lost generation, but at the same time, they don't know about these things. For me, it's like, I want to show this reality, you know, with the globalization, with the idea of consuming what is from the West, and we we are removing, we're invalidating our values to what is local. And that's why most of these members, when you meet them in town, they don't want to show that they are practicing these religion habits or values because they feel ashamed. They feel ashamed because the society is not validating them, you know? So that's why in my work, I attempted to restore their hidden identity. I want to give a light to people who don't have the light.
₦20,000 for free. 20,000 naira bonus.
Is your line blocked? Then move to Glow.
I'm reconnected.
Because we've all reconnected. And it's simple, simple. Dial *109# and link your NIN to your new or existing Glow number.
Get up to 20,000 naira for free with Glow.
20,000 naira bonus free.
Yes, sir, free.
Naija, what are you waiting for?
While award-winning Mozambican photographer Mario Masilao has traversed the world with his exhibits, home is still the greatest source of his inspiration.
My interest about the social connection is coming from where I was born and where I grew up. I want people to know about the continent from deeply and to know the reality, not to know things based on what is spread on the media. My photography helps with that because there's a lot of beautiful stories behind it. I work a lot with local problems, like people who doesn't have access to water, you know, but the people, they're very beautiful. The identity of these people is amazing. The light you see on people's face, it's something else. We are the Kiosk Digital in Maputo. It's one of the best printing shops here. And it's where normally I used to print my work, like for my projects in Mozambique. It's gonna come here. Printing is a part of the process, of the creative process. For I'm printing my work. It's a piece about the two boys with the fish, which is one of my best work, according to many collectors, according to many museums. So this work has been sold for museums in the UK, in Europe, in the US. And then now I'm printing it for my gallery in the UK, Ed Cross Fine Arts.
Every element of Mario's work is invested in Mozambique, from the printing process to showcasing in his very own gallery in Maputo.
It's working a space, kind of a gallery. The idea is to create easy access to my work, so to sell prints, having meetings, and then also creating a space of cultural exchange with another young people.
His work asks questions of every part of society, from why people wear the clothes they do, to how colonization has influenced architecture across Mozambique.
I did a project for many years about how people are giving life to the rubbish and the air waste also, you know. So it's more about the environment, but it's also about the people who living there in this place where we throw whatever we don't use anymore. So he just found the lamp there. It's one of